Hello friends, welcome to PHP Part 2 video tutorials. So we'll begin with include and require statement. The include and require statements allow for the insertion of the content of one PHP file into another PHP file before the server executes it. Including files saves quite a bit of work. You can create a standard header, footer or menu for all of your web pages. Then when the header is requiring update, you can update the header include file only. Assume that we have a standard header file called header.php. Your PHP tag, then echo welcome. This will print welcome with the header tag h1. Use the include statement to include the header file in a page. For example, php include header.php. It will include the header file in that current page. Include versus require. When a file is included using the include statement but PHP is unable to find it, the script continues to execute. In the case of require, the script will cease execution, will stop the execution and produce an error. Now comes functions. User-defined functions. And what is a function? A function is a block of statements that can be used repeatedly in a program. A function will not execute immediately when a page loads. It will be executed by a call to the function. A user-defined function declaration starts with the word function. As shown below, function name. So here function. It is a user-defined function and it starts with the function keyword and followed by function name. For example, function say hello. So say hello is a function started by the keyword function. And then print he, say hello, that is a function call, and then he will be printed. Function name can start with alphabet or underscore, but not with numbers or special character or symbols. Function names are not case sensitive. Function parameters. Information can be passed to functions through arguments, which are like variables. Arguments are specified after the function name and within the parentheses. Example, function multiply by 2. Multiply by 2 is a function followed by the function keyword, and then parameter is variable number. So here answer equals to answer into 2 and the print answer. Then multiply by 2, that is a function is called with the value passed to it is 3 and the output results into 6. Example 2, function multiply variable num1 variable num2. So here function parameters are variable num1 and variable num2, and then echo print the multiplication of num1 and num2, and then call the function multiply with the values 3 and 6. So the output will be 18. Now comes to return function. A function can return a value using the return statement. Return stops the function's execution and sends the value back to the calling code. Example, function multiply or mult num1 comma num2, then results, that is res, equals to num1 into num2, then return res. So here the return statement stops this execution of the function mult and then print mult 8 comma 3, that is output equals to 24. Now comes predefined variables. A superglobal is a predefined variable that is always accessible regardless of scope. You can access the PHP superglobal through any function, class or file. PHP's superglobal variables are server, globals, request, post, get, files, env, cookie, session. First superglobal variable of this PHP is server. It is an array that includes information such as headers, path and script locations. The entries in this array are created by the web server, like server script name. It also returns the path of the current script, like here the PHP tag to begin the PHP code, and then print server script name, and here the output will be some file.php because our file is written under sample file.php, which is located in the web server. Now comes server HTTP host. It returns the host header from the current script, like PHP header to begin with PHP and then print server HTTP host. The output will be localhost. This method is useful when you have lots of images on your server and need to transfer the website to another host. Instead of changing the path for each image, you can do this as following. Like first, create a config.php file that holds the path to your images. Like PHP header, opening PHP header, then variable host equals to server HTTP host, and then image path equals to host and then images, and then close the PHP tag. It will hold the path to your images. Second is, use the config.php file in your script. Open the PHP tag, require config.php, then print image source equals to the image path.header in the PNG format, and then close the PHP tag. The path to your image is now dynamic. It will change automatically based on the host header. Now comes forms. The purpose of PHP superglobal, that is get and post, is to collect data that has been entered into a form. The example shows a simple HTML form that includes two input fields and a submit button. Form action, first.php, and the method is post. Then name, input type of name is the text, and then age also text input type, and then the input type of submit is submit with the value submit, and then close the form tag. The action attribute specifies that when the form is submitted, the data is sent to a PHP file named first.php. HTML form elements have names which will be used when accessing the data with PHP. Now when we have an HTML form with the action attribute set to our PHP file, we can access the posted form data using the post associative array. The post superglobal array holds key or value pairs. In the pairs, keys are the names of the form's controls and values are the input data entered by the user. Post. The two methods for submitting forms are get and post. Information sent from a form via the post method is invisible to others since all names and or values are embedded within the body of the HTTP request. Also, there are no limits on the amount of information to be sent. Moreover, POST supports advanced functionalities such as support for multi-part binary input while uploading files to the server. However, it is not possible to bookmark the page as the submitted values are not visible. Example, open the PHP tag echo post email. Close the tag. Post is the preferred method for sending form data. Get. Information sent via form using the get method is visible to everyone. All variable names and values are displayed in the URL. Get also sets limits on the amount of information that can be sent, say about 2000 characters. However, because of the variables are displayed in the URL, it is possible to bookmark the page, which can be useful in some situations. For example, form, action type is action, form, action get.php and the method is get. Name, that is input type of for name is text, then br tag for break the line. Age, input type for age is text, again break the line, and then input type for submit is submit with the value submit, and close the form tag. Action get.php. Now here, open the PHP tag, print he, and get name, print UR, then dot get age, dot years. Here dot is used for concatenation, which is discussed in the PHP part 1. So now the form is submitted to the action get.php and you can see the submitted data in the URL like this. See. It should never be used for sending passwords or other sensitive information. When using post or get, proper validation of form data through filtering and processing is vitally important to protect your form from hackers and exploiters. Now comes sessions. Using a session, you can store information in variables to be used across multiple pages. Information is not stored on the user's computer as it is with cookies. By default, session variables last until the user closes the browser. So, start a PHP session. A session is started using the session start function. Use the PHP global session to set session variables. Open PHP tag. Start the session by session start function. Then session color is defined as red. Session name defined as John. So now the color and name session variables are accessible on multiple pages throughout the entire session. The session start function must be the first thing in your document. Look at here. Before any HTML tags. Session variables. Another page can be created that can access the session variables we set in the previous page. That is PHP start the session by using session start function, and then your HTML continues by adding header doc type HTML, HTML tag, body tag, start your PHP and print. Your name is, then session name, output will be what? John. And body tag close and close HTML tag. Your session variables remain available in the session super global until you close your session. All global session variables can be removed manually by using session unset function. You can also destroy the session with session destroy function. Cookies. Cookies are often used to identify the user. A cookie is a small file that the server embeds on the user's computer. Each time the same computer requests a page through a browser, it will send the cookie too. With PHP, you can both create and retrieve cookie values. So, create cookies using the setCookie function. SetCookie, and it has the parameter name, value, expire, path, domain, secure, HTTP only. So, name specifies the cookie's name, value specifies the cookie's value, expire specifies when the cookie is to expire, which is in seconds. Value specifies the cookie to expire value. It will set the cookie to expire in 30 days. If this parameter is omitted or set to 0, the cookie will expire at the end of the session. That is when the browser closes, and the default value is 0. Path. It specifies the server path of the cookie. If set to /, the cookie will be available within the entire domain. If set to /php/, the cookie will only be available within the PHP directory and all subdirectories of PHP. The default value is the current directory in which the cookie is being set. Domain. It specifies the cookie's domain name. To make the cookie available on all subdomains of example.com, set the domain to example.com. Next comes a secure. It specifies whether or not the cookie should only be transmitted over a secure HTTPS connection. So here the value is true or false for the secure option. True indicates that the cookie will only be set if a secure connection exists, and the default value for this is false. HTTP only, it sets to, if set to true, the cookie will be accessible only through the HTTP protocol. That is, the cookie will not be accessible to scripting languages. Using HTTP only helps reducing identity theft using XSS attacks, and the default value for this is also false. The name parameter is the only one that is required. All of the other parameters are optional. The following example creates a cookie named user with the value John. The cookie will expire after 30 days, which is written as 86,400 into 30, in which 86,400 seconds equals to 1 day. / means that the cookie is available throughout the entire website. We then retrieve the value of the cookie user using the global variable cookie. We also use the isSet function to find out if the cookie is set. So here you can have a look. Open the PHP tag, assign John to value variable, then set cookie user value time this value. If isSet cookie user echo, that is print, value is variable cookie user. So the output will be John because here user is what? John. The set cookie function must appear before the HTML tag. The value of the cookie is automatically encoded when the cookie is sent and is automatically decoded when it's received. Nevertheless, never store sensitive information in cookies. Now comes manipulating files. PHP offers a number of functions to use when creating, reading, uploading and editing files. The fopen function creates or opens a file. If you use fopen with a file that does not exist, the file will be created given that the file has been opened for writing or appending. Use one of the following modes to open the file. R. It opens file for read only. W. It opens file for write only. Also erases the content of the file or creates a new file if it does not exist. A. Opens file for write only. X. Creates new file for write only. R plus opens file for read or write. W plus opens file for read or write. Also, it erases the contents of the file or creates a new file if it does not exist. A plus opens file for read or write. It creates a new file if the file does not exist. Then X plus, it creates new file for read and write or read or write. The example below creates a new file, that is file.txt, which will be created in the same directory that houses the PHP code. So my file, that is variable my file, equals to fopen, that is open the file.txt with the write mode, write to file. When writing to a file, use the fwrite function. The first parameter of fwrite is the file to write to. The second parameter is the string to be written. The example below writes a couple of names into a new file called names.txt. So here, open the tag, PHP tag, then my file variable, and it opens names.txt file into write mode. Then variable text is assigned as John, and fwrite, that is write in the file named as my file, which is in the form of txt. So it says my file is a text file, and then variable text equals to David. So here it fwrite, that is open the file in the write mode. So my file is open in the write mode. So it is written into the my file. Then close my file. So file contains John and David, and close the PHP tag. Notice that we wrote to the file names.txt twice. See here David and then John. And then we use the fclose function to close the file. So also /n symbol is used when writing to the new file. Look at after John and after David. So John and David will be printed into separate lines. Fclose, the fclose function closes an open file and returns true on the success or false on the failure, and returns true on success or false on failure. Here fclose function, which is very important if you want to close the file. It's a good practice to close all the files after you have finished working with them. Appending to a file. If you want to append content to a file, you need to open the file in append mode. For example, my file equals to test.txt, then variable fh equals to fopen, variable my file, a, that is open the my file in append mode. Then fwrite, that you have to write into the file, into the my file. Then fh, equals to some text, and then close fh. Close your file fh after appending to your file. When appending to a file using the A mode, that is append mode, the file pointer is placed at the end of the file, ensuring that all new data is added at the end of the file, not at the beginning or the middle of the file. Let's create an example of a form that adds filled in data to a file. So open the PHP tag, if is set, then post text, then variable name is defined by post text, and then handle variable, In F, open, that is open the file named names into append mode, then write in the file, and then close the file handle and close the PHP tag. So, and then add the form tag method post, the name input type will be text, and then submit input type submit, then the name submit with the input type submit for submitting the form, and then close the form tag. Now each time a name is entered and submitted, it's added to the names.txt file along with a new line. The isSet function determines whether the form had been submitted as well as whether the text contains a value or not. We did not specify an action attribute for the form, so it will submit to itself. We use the for each loop because variable read is an array. Now reading a file. The file function reads the entire file into an array. Each element within the array corresponds to a new line in the file. For example, variable read equals to file names.txt, because the read variable is an array. So for each read as line, so echo line, this prints all of the lines in the file and separates them with the comma. Look here. The count variable uses the count function to obtain the number of elements in the variable read, which is an array. Then in the for each loop, after each line prints, we determine whether the current line is less than the total number of lines and print a comma if it is. At the end of the output in the previous example, we would have a comma as we print it after each element of the array. The following code lets us avoid printing that final comma. Here, variable read equals to file names.txt, then variable count equals to, it will count the read, then variable I is assigned as 1 for each, since read is an array, then read as line, then echo, that is print line. Then if condition is when I is less than count, print comma and then increment the I. So this will help us to avoid printing the final comma. Thank you.